The hand distraught Rand lashed out condemning Wing for her deception, and the hand's crimes Wing attempted to explain that Jiao turned into a part of a rogue faction. However, Rand could not believe her. He wondered if she have been manipulated via way of means of Bakuto, even asking if their dating turned into a part of a scheme, leaving their bond shattered. Rand feeling betrayed via way of means of Colleen Wing's revelation that she turned into a part of the hand left her by myself suffering with the intensity of the lies he have been fed. Later, while meditating, Rand accompanied a mysterious noise through the compound and exposed a hidden basement with surveillance device monitoring his each pass. Enraged via way of means of the betrayal, he destroyed the video display units most effective for Bakuto to see. Disappointed that Rand had taken the bait, Rand livid-faced Bakuto for his lies, but Bakuto coldly said it turned into only a check and Rand had failed, deepening Rand's disillusionment. Rand, enraged via way of means of Bakuto's lies, attacked him with fury, throwing a keyboard. Earlier than the two exchanged blows, Bakuto used his pace and processes to counter the Iron Fist's assaults, even wounding pillars together along with his blades, but Rand in the end disarmed him and knocked him down as Bakuto's squaddies rushed, and Rand found out the hand's proper intentions and determined to break out. Alarms blared as Rand encountered college students seeking to prevent him. Most effective for Davos to seem and knock them out. Scolding Rand, Davos found out his assignment to convey Rand lower back to Kunlun. Together they fought their manner through guards and rushed closer to freedom, making plans to interrupt through the gate. However, Daryl blocked their direction as Rand and Davos fought their manner through the Han squaddies. Rand turned into stabbed via way of means of Bakuto, a wound witnessed via way of means of Colleen Wing. Despite the harm, Rand turned into reluctant to go away Daryl at the back of while Davos broke his leg, but Davos satisfied him to press on at the gate. Davos entreated Rand to summon the Iron Fist. However, Rand discovered himself not able to achieve this as Bakuto defined that Rand's feelings had destroyed his ki. Enraged and pissed off, Rand charged beforehand, combating fiercely along Davos. They used their mixed abilities to fend off the developing swarm of hand cultists. However, the overwhelming number started out to show the tide in opposition to them. Just while all appeared misplaced, a person opened the gate for them. Rand turned into prepared to maintain the combat. However, Davos insisted they break out as the gate closed at the back of them. They have been pursued via way of means of some cultists who Davos quick dispatched. To Rand's marvel, he noticed Wing with inside the manage room, having helped them break out before. Rand may want to manner this. Davos entreated them to keep shifting, and the two buddies controlled to break out the compound, narrowly evading Bakuto's draw close. Arriving in New York City, Davos stated Rand wanted stitches earlier than returning to Lune. However, Rand refused. Davos reminded him the direction change into open end. He wasn't there to shield it. Rand insisted he could not depart, and Davos mentioned he had no hassle leaving them. He recommended they put up to the Thunderer, who would possibly repair Rand's chi, calling him a failure for now, no longer even lighting fixtures. The Iron Fist because of beyond errors. Rand keeping his wounds. Knew Davos change into proper while fleeing the hand. Rand tested his wound and attempted to repair his ki. However, painful visions saved, blocking off his attention in a parking lot. Davos entreated Rand to go back to Kunlun for recovery. After seeing a piece of writing approximately his paintings, Rand were given irritated and smashed Davos's telecell smartphone. Rand defined the monitoring system he had determined in Bakuto's basement. However, Davos insisted they depart earlier than the direction closed. Rand refused, blaming the hand for his dad and mom deaths. Davos reminded him that his obligation changed into Tulun. However, Rand argued it changed into his process to ruin the hand. Rand found out the fact approximately his dad and mom and requested for Davos's assist to ruin the hand, promising to go back to A_A Lune afterwards. Rand, bleeding from his wounds, sought assist at Claire Temple's domestic. She'd been trying to find him due to the fact that he changed into taken from Chikar Dojo. Rand defined that Davos changed into his pal. Temple handled his wound, getting rid of a shard from Bakuto's dagger. She recommended Rand use his chi to heal. However, he could not summon the Iron Fist as Temple stitched him up. She requested approximately Colleen Wing. Rand dispatched Davos away and found out that Wing changed into a part of the hand, stunning Temple. He defined that Bakuto changed into Constructing an Navy in New York. Temple recommended that Wing could have been brainwashed. Rand grew irritated, however Temple calmed him down. She hinted that his feelings had been from a damaged coronary heart. After treating him, Temple gave him antibiotics and a blouse from Luke Cage. Rand observed the bullet holes and requested approximately Luke. Temple smiled and stated he changed into probably doing higher than Rand. Rand attempted to meditate on Claire Temple's roof. However, the ache from his wound and his emotional turmoil saved him from focusing. Memories of Loon best delivered to his pressure. Colleen Wing arrived and advised Rand she change into on my own. She entreated him to visit the health facility. However, Rand reminded her that Bakudo had stabbed him. Wing defended Bakudo, pronouncing he claimed Rand attacked first. Rand warned her that Bakudo changed into constructing a brand new Han Navy. Wing stated Bakudo changed into assisting the youngsters. However, Rand remained distrustful. He declared he changed into the Iron Fist, sworn enemy of the Hand. Wing apologized and Rand silently recounted it later. Rand recommended traveling Harold Mesham for assist against Bakudo. However, Temple recommended him now no longer to behave rashly. Rand reassured her that he had determined his real cause. Temple advised Rand he change into more. She entreated him to govern it or he'd be left with not anything, however destruction. Rand thanked her and requested to borrow her automobile, which she agreed to. No extra traps, no extra interrogations. This must be finished because it need to work from the begin. You're speaking approximately homicide. We reduce off the pinnacle and the snake will die. Danny Rand and Joy Meacham at Harold Mesham's penthouse. Rand delivered Davos and that they mentioned taking up Bakudo. Rand cited the compound's defenses and Harold cautioned luring Bakudo out via way of means of last the heroin cache switch now below Mesham's manage. He argued that the Hand turned into predictable. Harold proposed Rand and Davos strike while Bakudo went for his cash. Davos turned into involved, however Harold insisted they might deal with him. Joy but turned into disturbed via way of means of Rand's plan to kill Bakudo. Looking forward to that they had seized him as a substitute. Rand and Davos waited outdoor Bakudo's compound that night time, bickering approximately who should power Claire Temple's automobile. Davos reminded Rand of a Beyond incident while Rand wrecked Brother Kuo's cart, and Rand defined how his anger made it more difficult to govern his scheme and him to impeach his proper to the Iron Fist. Davos argued that Rand need to have stayed in Kun following his responsibility. Davos admitted his struggles with anger, believing the trial of Zolo turned into his birthright. He wondered why Rand left Kun. However, Rand defined the vacancy he felt after the aircraft crash and the way a hawk flying made him agree with the manner out of Kun turned into open, though Davos noticed it as a signal that Kunlun wished safety. As they argued, they noticed Colleen Wing escaping the Hand compound. Rand observed her regardless of Davos's protest. Wing, traumatized and betrayed via way of means of Bakudo, attacked Rand with a pipe. However, he calmed her down, assuring her he intended no harm. Wing in melancholy attempted to initiate Rand into killing her. However, Rand stopped her. He comforted her, announcing he understood her ache. He entreated her to forestall jogging and break the Hand. Finally he forgave her and hugged her whilst Davos watched disenchanted and involved on their manor. Lower back to New York, Rand comforted Colleen Wing, who turned into nonetheless shaken via way of means of Bakudo's betrayal. Davos warned Rand now no longer to accept as true with her. However, Wing denied being a part of the Hand. When Wing diagnosed Davos from Kunlun, Davos have become irritated and refused to agree with her. Rand defended Wing, reminding Davos that she had helped them break out. Davos cautioned Wing assist break the compound. However, she refused, announcing she turned into involved approximately her college students nonetheless. Internal, when Davos taunted her approximately defeating them, Wing punched him. Rand stepped in to forestall the combat. Davos noticed this is evidence that Wing turned into with the Hand. Whilst Wing disapproved, Rand attempted to calm them down. However, Davos taunted Rand, calling him a coward. Rand defined his teachings from Lund. However, Wing stated the one's teachings had ruined his ki. The anxiety among them remained At Shakura Dojo, Rand handled Wing's bruises and praised her bravery. She admitted Bakuto had fooled her and confident her that Bakuto became a villain. However, she became nonetheless human. He supplied her a secure location to live. However, she refused, determined to kill Bakuto. Davos entered, noticing they had been dropping consciousness as Ward. Video known as Rand. Bakuto confirmed the Meachums hostage, capturing Joy with inside the belly and perilous to behead Harold if Rand did not arrive in half-hour. Bakuto held a katana to Harold's neck, cautioned Rand of any other loss. Rand stormed out, ignoring Davos's concept to attend. Rand arrived simply in time to prevent Bakuto. He demanded the Meachums be freed, taking Joy's hand and insisting she wanted a physician. Bakuto promised assist. Once they left, Rand became cuffed and Bakuto defined that Rand became nonetheless risky. Rand discovered that Ward had known as Bakuto, and Bakuto apologized for now no longer honoring his deal. Rand glared at Ward as Bakuto left with him in custody. In the elevator, Bakuto, known as the Meachums, a pit of vipers, pronouncing Rand need to be glad about his assist. Rand requested what Bakuto delivered to do with the Iron Fist. Bakuto smiled, pronouncing they had alternated the arena and entire Rand's education. Rand puzzled how he should assist due to the fact he did not even understand what he desired to be at the lowest ground. Rand regained his chai and broke his chains. He attempted to strike at Bakuto, however misplaced his powers. While Bakuto and his guys had been distracted, Colleen and Davos attacked the guards. Iron Fist took down one protect and confronted Bakuto, taunting him. Bakuto slashed Rand's chest, claiming the arm's medical doctor should heal him. They fought fiercely with Iron Fist maintaining Bakuto's blade when Wing screamed and Akran driven Bakuto away. After the guards had been defeated, Bakuto fled and Rand, Wing and Davos chased him. They chased Bakuto to Central Park where he faced them. Bakuto mocked Wing for betraying the hand and he or she selected to combat him by myself. Rand watched anxiously as Wing defeated Bakuto, stabbing him. Davos driven Rand to kill Bakuto, however Wing counseled turning him over to the police. As Bakuto bled out, he taunted Rand, approximately getting used as a weapon. Furious, Davos killed Bakuto. Rand reprimanded Davos, however Davos argued that it became his responsibility because the Iron Fist. Rand disagreed, pronouncing that killing had results in New York. Davos known as Rand a failure and Wing defended him, however Davos disregarded her. Rand stood through Wing. Davos angrily informed Rand that Count could were better. They contacted Jerry Hogarth, who warned them now no longer to show themselves in and gave Rand altered files from the hand. Hogarth gave Rand three alternatives: go away, forlorn, flip himself, and for a plea deal or prove his innocence with no higher desire. Rand determined to discover a person he depended on even much less than Harold. Rand and Colleen. Wing observed the hand compound abandoned in J.Al's mobiler. She mocked Rand for his guilt and confusion. She claimed that Rand's anger over his parents' loss of life became why he left Count, hinting that something precipitated the crash. Rand, suffering with anger, desired revenge on Harold for betraying him. Colleen supplied to kill him for Rand, however Claire Temple warned that seeking vengeance could corrupt his chi and forestall him from completely getting access to his powers. Despite their issues, Rand remained decided, knowing he needed to pick out among revenge or real power. Rand met Ward, who discovered that Harold had locked the hand pill in a secure with guards published. Despite the dangers, Rand became set on confronting Harold, approximately his parents' loss of life later, as they organized to behave. Ward warned of extra guards, however Rand refused to attend, focused on his vengeance. Temple precipitated a distraction, permitting Rand to sneak beyond the guards. He ambushed Harold's workplace from the roof, and a fierce combat broke out. When Wing became threatened, Rand unleashed a surprise wave, knocking every person again as Harold fled. Rand checked on Wing and chased him to the roof at the same time as Ward secured the hand pill. Rand chased Harold Meachum to the roof of Rand Enterprises. Meachum shot Rand, wounding his hand at the same time as taunting him, approximately there beyond and Rand's thirst for revenge. Rand torn among, killing Meachum or taking him into custody. Fought again. He landed a kick earlier than Meachum expressed remorse over now no longer killing Wendell. Rand declared that Meachum become guilty for his or her family's destruction, and Meachum vowed vengeance towards him. Rand tackled Meachum, however his gunshot wound stopped him from the use of the Iron Fist. Meachum mocked him and attacked with a metallic pole. Rand regained cognizance and landed numerous punches, impaling Meachum on a spike. Meachum taunted him once more, however Rand selected to have him arrested, now no longer killed. When Meachum attempted to shoot Colleen, Wing and Ward intervened and Rand deflected the bullet with the Iron Fist. Rand's Kai healed his wound after blocking off Harold's bullet Ward killed Harold, finishing his father's abuse. The subsequent day Rand discovered that each one charges towards him were dropped. Ward invited Rand to run the Enterprise, however Rand declined. Later Rand visited Colleen Wing at Chakra Dojo discussing schooling and a scholarship for Temple. Temple requested approximately Rand's plans and he found out that he turned into going lower back to Kun to give an explanation for why he left and to complete his schooling. Temple cautioned they each needed mental assist earlier than leaving the dojo. Wing turned into unhappy to peer Rand pass, however he shared that he had to find out who he will be because the Iron Fist. He was hoping Wing could be a part of him and he or she agreed, which made Rand glad. Rand and Wing traveled to the Himalayas, nearly accomplishing Kun. However, once they arrived on the passage they observed it stained with blood in the our bodies of the Order of the Crane. Mom, the Hand had attacked and the portal to Kun turned into Long past. Furious and feeling he had failed, Rand